When I say high-speed rail between Paris and Brussels, you think Eurostar or Thalys, right? Well, there's also another high-speed rail link between the two capitals. SNCF's TGV inOui service provides links between the Belgian capital and the suburbs of Paris, and I'll be taking this journey today in first class to show you why it's a nice alternative to travelling between France and Belgium. Now sit back and enjoy the ride. High-speed international services in and out of Belgium principally use Brussels South as their main station, which is where we'll be starting today's trip. The station is known as Brussels Zuid in Dutch and Bruxelles Midi in French, both languages being the two principal ones spoken in Belgium. The station also features a lot of nods to the adventures of Tintin, owing to Brussels being the birthplace of the creator Georges Lamy and the subsequent international recognition of the comic. Brussels South was first inaugurated in 1869 and has evolved from a terminus station to a through one over the course of the 20th century. The early 90s also saw it begin to host the Eurostar for services through the Channel Tunnel to the UK, and is also served by Eurostar's Amsterdam to London route. You'll also find local transit links for the metro and the tram to travel further onwards to the city, as well as the bus from outside. The shop and restaurant selection down here is rather varied and fitting for a station of its nature. This is the busiest in Belgium and one of the busiest in Europe, seeing on average 357,000 passengers weekly. On the platforms, a former Thalys service, now branded Eurostar Red, can be seen arriving to work a service to Paris. Eurostar is the main carrier between Brussels and Paris, serving Gare du Nord, located in the city centre. As such, I was unable to secure a mandatory Interrail reservation to Paris, owing to how busy the services can get. I therefore had to catch the alternative, which is arriving now. That's right, France's TGV. SNCF operate hourly services between Belgium and France, serving destinations in the east and south of the country via the suburbs of Paris. Services are operated using single-decker TGV Réseau units, built by Alstom between 1992 and 1996. This train has international compatibility, capable of working on French, Belgian and Italian voltages, and is frequently used on cross-border services out of France to these countries. This particular unit was built in 1995, around the same time the Eurostar PBA unit standing right next to it was. The PBA is directly derived from the TGV Réseau, the former having additional capabilities of working in the Netherlands which the legacy Réseau units lack. Another TGV Réseau arrives from the sidings, which will now couple to the first set to form a double set to Paris. This will give the train a total of 16 coaches, excluding the power cars, a necessity given how busy this service gets from Lille. The coupling operation is no different to what you find with most units elsewhere. However, I did find this to be a lot smoother than others I've seen, particularly compared to back home in the UK. Now that the two Réseau units are coupled together, we can now board. The rear part of the train terminates at Marseille, whilst the other terminates at Strasbourg. I'll be in the Strasbourg portion as far as Disneyland Paris, where the units will detach and go on to their respective destinations. Coach 12 is one of 3 first-class carriages on board the TGV Réseau and features a 2x1 seating configuration with plenty of airline-style and table seats. I'm in the former today for the ride down to Marne-la-Vallee. Our TGV train will make no stops in Belgium, instead crossing into France to join the LGV Nord at Lille, Europe, where the train changes direction. We then travel along the near full length of the line to diverge onto Charles de Gaulle Airport and finally Marne-la-Vallee or Disneyland Paris, with an expected arrival time of 3 Central European Time. Departure from Brussels is on time at 17 past 1 Central European Time. One thing that did surprise me was the gates blocking the two Eurostar terminal platforms, which is visible as we leave the station. I'm not sure whether this is to prevent unauthorised access or for immigration purposes, given the UK is not in the European Schengen zone, but if you know, please let me know below in the comments. But for now, our TGV snakes out of Brussels as it prepares to enter the high-speed line, just south of the city. We now pass Brussels Forest Depot, where SNCF and high-speed operators, including SNCF, perform maintenance on their fleets. An ICE3 Neo can also be seen, which is currently conducting authorization in Belgium for ICE international cross-border services. Both of these have been reviewed before on the channel. It's now straight on the HSL1, immediately after clearing the Brussels suburbs. As the name suggests, this is Belgium's first high-speed line, opening in 1997 to link Belgium with the French border towards Lille and the Channel Tunnel in the north and Paris in the south. It isn't long until our TGV Réseau reaches the line speed of 300 km per hour, though these trains have a top speed of 320 km per hour, which is reached as the trains later progress further to Marseille and Strasbourg. Now let's divert our attention to the train's features, starting with the seat. TGV first class seats remain one of my favourites on the train, very comfortable and well ergonomically designed, with a nice headrest to complement. You'll find large foldable armrests on both sides of the seat, the aisle side one containing the button which operates the seat's automatic recline, by pushing either side as you see fit. This supports the already great legroom of the seat, though my one complaint is the footrest, which you might appreciate if you're on the smaller side, but I'm personally not a huge fan of these. Each seat contains a fold-down tray table, which is large enough for a laptop, and a conveniently located cup holder, which is just right next to it. Just below you'll find a storage place, which I presume is for a newspaper or a phone, as well as a personal litter bin. Standard European power sockets are included at each seat, while seat numbers are located just at the top of the seat, just below the operable reading light. Finally, there's a window blind to block out the light if you wish, though with the gloomy weather outside it certainly isn't a problem today. Overall, the interior is great but is in desperate need of a refurb, if not a refresh at the minimum owing to how tired it looks. SNCF recently announced a refurbishment for the trains beginning in 2026 to extend their life by a further 10 years, so I really can't wait to see the outcome of it. At this point, we have now crossed the border into France and reached the end of the HSL1. Using the Freton triangle, we've rejoined the LGV Nord, which opened in 1993 as the Channel Tunnel rail link to Paris and Brussels. Close to the entry of Lille Europe is a TGV duplex coupled to a TGV POS set. The latter used to be used on TGV Lyria services to Switzerland, but were replaced by the former in recent years. One even holds the world speed record at a whopping 574.8 km per hour. Even for a modified train set, that's very impressive. Our first stop today is Lille Europe, and whilst principally built for international services provided by Eurostar, former Thalys services and TGV Belgian services like ours, a lot of domestic traffic also provides services here too. The train now stops here for around 10 minutes as it changes direction to head south. These domestic links are frequently relied upon by international passengers, particularly from London given recent service cuts by Eurostar. Consequently, the stop here highlighted one of the main issues of the TGV, which is rather poor luggage space. Hopefully this is fixed during the refurbishment. Once again, we cross the Freton triangle after leaving Lille, though on this occasion it will be to access the southern portion of the LGV Nord as we head towards Charles de Gaulle Airport and beyond. Oh, and if you're enjoying this content, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications for more content such as this weekly. I have some incredible trips planned for 2024 and I want you along with me. Thanks! The interior of these trains was designed by French designer Christian Lacroix and features a style that's unique to the older generation of TGVs. Standard class showcases as well with its colourful 2x2 layout, though the seats are less comfortable and spacious than first as you'd expect. This consists of 4.5 carriages on board, the other half of one carriage containing the cafe bar, which serves light drinks and snacks. I already ate at Brussels, so I just bought a small bag of M&Ms for the road. I've linked the menu in the description below if you want to check out the prices for yourself. Minus the cafe car, each coach on the TGV Réseau has a toilet. The one here is the PRM one, specified to the needs of those with reduced mobility. To be honest, I've never had major issues with the cleanliness of toilets on SNCF, so it's good to see the consistency maintained. There are also a nice amount of amenities such as baby changing facilities and a coat hanger. Everything works as it should too, so that's a thumbs up from me. There aren't that many stations on the LGV Nord, however we passed one of them now, TGV Haute Picardie. This station is nicknamed Gare de Betterave, or Sugar Beet Station, owing to it being surrounded by sugar beet fields. It is connected to both Amiens in the west and Saint-Quentin in the east, taking a maximum of 30 minutes to reach both by road transport. We also cross over the River Seine on one of the line's many viaducts, reaching the top line speed of 300 km per hour once again, shortly before exiting the LGV Nord to reach the LGV Interconnexion Est, which links the former with the LGVs Atlantique, Sud-Est and Est, the latter two being used by these units to reach their final destinations of Marseille and Strasbourg respectively. Our last stop for today is Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport Terminal 2, which is actually where I was supposed to get off, but owing to the RERB facing poor reliability as usual, the conductor allowed my request to stay on to Disneyland so I could catch the RERA into Paris. This is the main international airport serving Paris, and the busiest within the European Union. My reservation only lasted until the airport, so it's standing room for the next 10 minutes. On reflection, I enjoyed the journey. Whilst this service doesn't take you to the centre of Paris, it's still a good option, especially in my case where I urgently needed to get to Paris to get to Zurich, and the Eurostar was fully reserved. My Interrail reservation for this trip cost me €32, which is not ideal but still cheaper than the full on-the-day fare, which is €117 fixed and €121 flexible looking at the SNCF Connect app, though you can save 30% with a Carte Avantage discount card. The arrival into Marne-la-Vallee's TGV station is 6 minutes late owing to congestion. Now it's over to you. Have you travelled with SNCF between Belgium and France before? What did you think of this service? Let me know down below in the comments. It's not quite the end yet, as the TGV Réseaux now need to uncouple to form their respective services. The front set to Marseille and the rear set to Strasbourg. Weirdly enough, this is done with the doors still open. As a Brit, I was quite shocked. With that finished, that concludes the video. If you enjoyed it, which I hope you did, don't forget to like and share it to aid the channel's growth, as well as subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications for more content such as this weekly. We can briefly enjoy the sights of Disneyland Paris, but not for too long, as I need to rush to catch the train to Gare de Lyon to catch my connection to Switzerland. Thanks so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.